When pseudopockets are present, when it is necessary to increase the retention of a prosthesis stump and to accentuate the gingival scallop, an internal bevel gingivectomy may be suitable, which makes it possible for the surgeon to design the scallop and the gingival margin directly using a scalpel. The technique is the same as that used for the external bevel gingivectomy. By measuring the pseudopockets, reference points are made using a probe. The gingiva is perforated on the vestibular aspect in order to obtain a spot of blood. This is all done above, vestibularly, in correspondence with each tooth to be lengthened. It's possible to observe all of the reference points. The gingivectomy starts at about 1.5 to 2 millimeters more coronally to the reference point. It's the tip of the scalpel which must reach the bottom of the pocket, so that the bevel and the inclined plane of the incision are internal. The incision starts and finishes within the sulcus of the tooth element in order to completely preserve the papilla neck. In effect, it's a gingivectomy for each single tooth, and it's possible to eliminate the pseudopockets and to increase the vertical dimensions of the stump, and to increase retention, and at the same time to increase the scallop, having more pronounced papilla. The operation is easy to carry out. It could be a useful technique for the reasons which were described previously. Once all the gingivectomies have been carried out, it would be easy to eliminate all of the secondary flaps on each tooth. So, as was already pointed out, it is a series of gingivectomies which increase the vertical dimensions of the single prosthetic stump and increase the scallop of the gingival margin on the vestibular aspect. The removal of the secondary flap is a pathognomic sign of the quality of the incisions. Once these secondary flaps have been removed with an ultrasound ablator, the internal bevel is entered to remove any fragments which may have been left behind. It will be important, once the operation is over, to have an appropriate temporary prosthesis. Once the secondary flaps have been removed using a 40 micron burr, careful root planing is carried out all around all of the stump, and this will make it possible to remove any fragments which have been left behind. The probe indicates the new scallop, and with a diamond burr, root planing of the stump is completed, which now has a completely different aspect. Decidedly longer and more retentative for the prosthesis. It's a very simple operation which must have the correct indications. All of the steps must be followed, from the points of reference to the gingivectomy and root planing. The closure margin of the temporary prosthesis will result in defect compared with before. Once the operation is finished, no stitches are required because the neck of the papilla has been preserved. A surgical dressing is positioned in order to stabilize the flap and aid its healing process. The dressing is remolded in order to give a scallop shape comparable to the gingiva underneath. Here it's possible to see healing after 3 weeks and the new temporary prosthesis which is adapted to the new gingival margin. Here we can see before and after.